So we are now in Blackfoot, Idaho, and we've stopped here because I found 2 years ago that I had a brother. His birth certificate shows my mother, Bonnie Glee Lefevre, and we didn't know about each other until 2 years ago when my brother had a DNA test with Ancestry.com, and then James Taylor's daughter called my brother and said, "Hey, it says here that you're my uncle." And so then we figured this out, and my mother apparently had when I was 8 years old or 7 years old, had a baby who was unknown to us. Anyway, I'm going to stop here in Blackfoot where he lives, and we're going to have lunch since we're on our way to Glacier National Park, and we have to go right through here anyway. And it'd be a great opportunity.
So I was to and from the ground here.
Let me picture us, okay? I'm going to do this. Here's my brother.
There you go.
James Taylor. Found him at last.
There you go. Amen to that part.
Right?
Met Steve.
Oh, you did get to
Last year. He came over.
Awesome.
And then your daughter found that we were connected to the DNA test, huh?
And she called me, and my two daughters met me and said, "Well, we have something I want to talk to you about." I'm like, "Okay, now what?" You know, they didn't say what. That's been 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, it has been that long.
And met with her, or met with my daughters, and they said, "We found one of your brothers." And I said, "What?" Because I wasn't finding anything. Because they were afraid that the state would take one of them away until the adoption was legal. And I have an older sister that's 7 years older than I am, and she's also adopted.
You missed that, didn't
Yeah, I didn't understand.
you? You
There's
forgot
two
how the
babies?
other baby came along.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
of a
I have an
sudden.
older sister that's 7 years older, and then I have one sister that's a month older than I am. And so in school, kids didn't understand adoption, so we always just said we were twins. It was a whole lot less.
So they adopted two babies at
Yeah,
once?
yeah. She was from California and was through another friend of theirs that had a son that had a baby out of wedlock, and his dad arranged that adoption, and then my aunt arranged my adoption.
James came out all of a sudden was something that came up, right?
Yeah.
And that's what happened. They already had the girl lined
Yeah.
up. And then all of a sudden the opportunity for James popped up, and they said, "We'll take him." Kind of like that.
So that's the reason they had
So
one
they
of
got
us.
two at once that
Yeah,
way.
and so that's why they hid one in the closet when people would come over, because they understood, well, they understood one, but until the adoption was all finalized, they didn't dare say anything.
There's two.
Yeah.
So that's the story you heard later on. So not only was he a tumor, he was also a closet child.
Mom, look at this.
There you go.
He was.
But my dad's sister-in-law worked for Dr. Scavlin, is what I was told as a child. Worked for Dr. Scavlin.
Her name was Donna.
That Bonnie had come in and said, "I'm in a situation where I can't."
You
have
know
enough-"
this story.
Well, yeah, I came from my adoptive parents. I was told from day one that I was adopted. That was never ever a secret.
Okay. So then they told you that when you were older, they told you the whole thing?
Yeah, they told me the whole thing, and then I didn't know. I always knew of Bonnie Johnson. Until later, I was in my 20s when my uncle, my cousin, which is 15 years older than I am, told me, he said, "No." He said, "If I remember correctly, your mom's last name was Lefevre." So it gave me a little more information, but until my daughter did the DNA test, I really didn't have. Well, I did the 23andMe, it went nowhere. 5th and 6th, maybe some 8th.
Put your hand out there again.
Mom.
Look at that.
Oh,
Huh?
that is impressive.
Huh?
You got those big hands like my dad. That is impressive. Those big fingers.
Yeah, and he's got David and Steve's height. You know,
Put your
very much
hands
so.
out. I gotta take a picture.
You don't want to see that.
I want to see him in the. Okay.
There you go. His grandpa Lefevre, he had.
And your mom had big hands.
Yeah.
And it
she
wasn't
had-
until Steve found that out and let me know. Well, let's see, Phil had reached out to my daughter, and then Bob called me, and then Steve got a hold of me, and let me know where Mom was buried, not knowing. And that was 3 years ago. Yeah, it's been 3 years ago because I didn't get the cemetery this year, but the last 2 years I've gone because found out that her birthday is on the 30th of May, 30th, 31st.
No, it's it says May on May 31st. It says
Yeah.
May 31st.
That's the name, so I don't know.
Are you supposed to jump on the salad now?
Oh yeah, we can anytime.